Some choices. Hi, everyone. Welcome to the Feast Foreplay podcast. I'm here today with Vanessa Vance, and we're going to have a chat to her and hear all about her. She's zooming in from Perth. But for those of you who are new to the Feast space, this is the Festival of Embodiment and Sexual Transformation, and we're creating this podcast to just introduce you to our wonderful team of facilitators and give you the opportunity to get to know them a bit. So welcome, Vanessa.
Thank you. It's lovely to be here.
Good. Yay.
Yeah.
So I'm just noticing we've got a little lag in our communication across the country. So let's just do the best we can with it and just embrace the spaciousness.
Okay.
Thank you. We'll work with it. As this is one of our skills at Feast, yeah, we work with whatever comes and take a big breath. Yeah.
Right.
Nice. So, Vanessa, let's kick off. I'm curious to hear if you feel willing to share a little bit about your first experience in group erotic learning and kind of what drew you into the space and then what unfolded for you from that place.
It's a while ago now. I'm talking close to 15 years of that kind of intentional group erotic spaces. I think that I had delved into sort of play spaces before where it was kind of intentional, but it was very much in, we're playing, it's a play party or it's something else, and so the idea is very different. Whereas walking into spaces where it's a learning space, intentional learning space was mind-blowing for me. I felt that, so I did it through a few different avenues. It was kind of like Tantra, that's a very big word that means a lot of different things. So lots of different types of that, different kinds of spaces, workshops, retreats, those kinds of things. And then coming into sexological body work in 2014, and just getting a whole other set of training and skills and frameworks around it. So it was really great to kind of consolidate this kind of learning in that kind of way. And I feel what I really gained from that was this sense of coming home, to me, to my body. And, I'd always been a very sort of alive person in my body, but, I think being like a cis woman, a queer woman who didn't really understand her queerness, all those things growing up, it's kind of like, there's so many constraints, I think, that society kind of puts around our sexuality and how we can express ourselves and have a voice and all these kinds of things. Yeah. That I really felt these spaces allowed me to just open up and become more of who I actually was and what I had to say and that. So I found my voice, found my body, found my expression. And it's always been a continual practice from there on in, really. So yeah, very powerful work for me. And yeah, I wouldn't be doing what I'm doing if I didn't find it had a personal impact. So yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, beautiful. It sounds like you had these threads of curiosity and then step by step kind of built on that until you landed in this place of this sense of coming home. And I imagine there was a bit of trust in that process. Yeah, trusting yourself to lean in and just take the next step. Yeah.
Yeah. And just like, I think it's that place of being in spaces where there are things being modeled very well. Sometimes spaces where things aren't being modeled very well, and then you can actually learn from that too, absolutely. So definitely had both sides of that coin. But it's, having representation and being seen that I think, oh, I can do that. I can actually be that. That's the yes for me walking into that. was really powerful. And that's
Yeah,
also that
nice.
reflection and that mirroring, and then that trust of self. Okay, yeah, I can do this. Wow. Like, and now we're in a group, in a community, and we're doing it together. And this is great. Like, we can, it's that reinforcing thing of like, it's okay to be this way. It's okay for this to be normalized in a way
Yeah,
that's
yeah.
safe and it's free, you know?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, and choosing, and I can hear some discernment in that around who were the role models, and trusting that felt sense of, yeah, this feels in alignment, this feels right for me, and trusting then who supports you in that space was a key part of leaning in. Yeah, yeah.
Absolutely.
As I'm talking to you, I'm remembering, because you were such an integral part of me stepping into my sexological bodywork training. I don't know if you remember, so long ago, we had a phone call because it just kept coming at me, coming at me. And I don't know how our paths crossed, but I reached out to you before I made the decision to do sex bod. So, and you were such an integral part. So, it just keeps on rippling out. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm curious. I mean, obviously, you've had your own journey and your own personal journey, and then you've stepped into this work. Do you want to share a little bit
Mm.
about the work that you're offering and currently what you're doing?
Mm. Well, yeah, that's an interesting thing because I've kind of shifted and changed my work quite a lot over the years, as I've sort of gained other trainings and other qualifications, and then found a new way to integrate things or how I wanted to offer that. Um, and so currently I'm in this space of really, in some ways, coming full circle back into this I've had this sort of journey into like being trained as a therapist, like, as and all the things that go along with that, um and being in that therapy world, and seeing sort of like the lines that have to be delineated between what therapy is versus what erotic embodiment is. In some ways, there's sort of like these gaps that can happen, and these frameworks or these lenses that get looks at problems. And so I've been running a private practice for quite a while. And then I really just made the decision last year that, that I was going to wind that up and pivot things back to being more focused on groups and more focused on workshops, and really coming back to offering sort of the embodied consent work. So that's kind of like my main focus right now, is offering those kinds of spaces for folks to really explore the wheel of consent. And now, combined with my creative arts therapies qualification, like all the things that I've learned from and it's a wholly embodied work, creative arts therapies. Like, it's really, there's so much somatic stuff based in that as a creative arts therapist, that it just matches this kind of work very, very well. So it's like I'm drawing from new places to sort of create new offerings around how we can be creative, how we can express ourselves in ways that don't have to be, massively out there. They can just be like, okay, let's just put some paint to some paper, and like, how do we feel that? How do we engage with our senses? How do we, become aware of what that means for a particular material like a paint versus a pencil, and what do we get from that? How do we connect to our feelings around that? So there's can be really safe, gentle ways to sort of tap into these very nuanced and subtle ways of being aware of things that are happening in the body, and at the same time I really love the let's go out and and have a massive big dance, and explore and express and rage, and all those things that come with being in drama therapy, and exploring roles and how we can express that in our bodies and be with each other in those spaces. So that's kind of the work I'm sort of bringing to the fore now, is more that focus of kind of work. It's pulling from different pools.
I love it. And I
I hope
can
that answers
hear
your
your passion, and I can see your passion and your joy, and this creative, like, weaving together such a unique offering of all those pieces. Yeah, I can see how much it lights you up. Yeah, and I
yeah
love hearing that you're bringing this into group space, because there's that element of community, and what the magic that happens when human beings come together in these types of spaces. really powerful.
Yeah. Oh yeah, so what's the word? Believer is maybe not the word, but a firm supporter of what the power of groups can do. And yeah, having really studied a lot now, I've got a real deep theoretical base that I can draw from to really understand why that's the case. And so it really supports my work and how I do it with people. And yeah, I feel really, yeah, groups is, yeah, amazing. And to create this other space in erotic embodiment learning spaces is a whole other level of learning
Yes.
and engagement that we engage with that, you know, you don't necessarily get from traditional therapy, even though creative arts therapies is not traditional in even in the therapy
Yes.
world. It's a whole different place to go to. And
Yeah.
a lot of other places aren't necessarily equipped, or people aren't equipped with the frameworks or the language or the tools to navigate those edges, because they can be a little bit scary for some folks who don't really know how to do that. And so it's so
Yeah.
easy just to sort of, you know, compartmentalize sexuality into this other little box, and we'll put it over here and only deal with it a certain way. And yeah, I feel like I've got this capacity of all this experience that I've had and training that I've had to kind of bridge these worlds of going, yeah, we can go there. We can go there in this way when we have these frameworks, when we have these ways of working. And it's
Yes.
backed up by science. This isn't some woo-woo stuff. This is actually science
Yeah.
stuff about, you know, how our brains and our bodies work. And it's, yeah. So
Yeah.
I'm excited. I'm excited to come up to the
I,
feast.
Yeah, I love Vanessa because as erotic practitioners, we get to work with life force, like this life force energy, and bring that into our work. At the same time, like I agree, and I can hear you acknowledging that's a really big edge for a lot of people. There's a lot of fear and shame comes up, a lot of taboo in this space. How do you support people, knowing that this is an edge and feeling so passionate about it? How do you support, say, someone new to this space to kind of take that first step in?
Mm. So I think one of the fundamental things that I have in my work is I create a space where choice is at the forefront of everything,
Mm-hmm.
because I feel what a lot of people bring, especially to group spaces even, is this idea of shoulds, this idea of I should be doing this or I should be doing that. And we come in with all these shoulds already, like internalized shoulds about our sense of expression, our sexuality, all these things. And then when we get in groups, it can be so easy to like, oh, we go along with whatever's happening, or we, you know, so I feel it's such a vital piece to imbue a space with as much choice as is possible. Because obviously, you know, you're in a group space and we're there for a reason and we've got to go somewhere together. So there is a certain amount of, okay, let's get on this bus and I'll drive the bus as I facilitate and we'll all kind of have an experience. But for people to choose, okay, how do they want to engage with that bus tour where I'm driving the bus and we're going here and we're going there? How do they want to choose to work with that? Like, how can we create more space around the choosing to engage and what that means to them? Because I feel like it's such a core piece of a lot of people's experiences is not having choice and not
Yes.
realizing they have choice, or finding choice in the body. This isn't just about thinking choice. This is about
Mm-hmm.
feeling choice, sensating with choice, going, what is it that I want? You know,
Yeah.
what is it that I'm willing to do, and where are my limits around that? How can I feel that in my body and really bring that to the table in regards to
Mm-hmm.
making a choice? And those are
Yeah.
like components, you know, so sometimes really tricky to find, to locate, because we're taught to go along, go along, go along, comply, do the right thing,
Mhm.
should. Yeah.
Yeah,
So,
especially
so
around
that's one
sex and
thing. Yeah.
yeah, especially around sex and pleasure. There's a whole script that we are conditioned to following. So there's space, which is, I notice in my work, that it's also like this space of choosing is so new to people, and it's like, how do I do that? What do I want? How do I know what I want? It's often such a big learning edge because no one's ever asked me. I don't know how to feel for it, let alone trust and honor it. So this beautiful space you create, safety and support and permission to choose. Yeah,
Yeah.
beautiful.
Yeah. And
Nice. Thank
sometimes
you.
that means slowing down. It really means like taking that time to be,
Yeah.
just sit with that question. What is it that
Yeah.
I want? Ah, I've got a choice.
And yeah, and
Wow.
to stay
Yeah, you
curious
do.
about that. Yeah. Yeah, and to stay curious about that and be willing to not know. I don't know, but what if I just stay curious? What a beautiful gift to give to people. And maybe
Yeah,
sometimes for people, that's the biggest takeaway from the work with you is slowing down, noticing and choosing before they even get into the rest of the offering. Lusciousness.
exactly. Yeah.
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 Beautiful. I'm just looking at our questions that we had to guide us. And I'm curious if you'd like to. So you're back at Feast again. You're one of our regular feasters. Yeah, flying all the way over to the country and have been one of our treasured facilitators before. Do you want to talk a little bit about what you're offering this year?
Yeah. So I'm excited. I'm excited. Yeah, I think one of the things that I love about coming to Feast is um, it's a I get to create a container within an already established container that allows me then to really focus on the things that I need to focus on, and people are um, I have that sense of being a bit more primed already, or willing to step into these spaces. So I noticed that I can sort of go, okay, so maybe my offering can be something a little bit more fuller, or we don't have to go necessarily as slow as if I was running a workshop for people off the street. It would be, so I love that kind of space. I think both are necessary, but it's also to come to a retreat space where it's all being held and everyone can go along this massive journey together. It's so rewarding to be building for people as they go along whatever journey they choose to have at Feast. So the things that I'm offering an art-based exploration on pleasure, embodied pleasure. So that similar thing, we're just going to be using art materials and exploring that, and yeah, seeing that interconnection between accessing our pleasure, accessing our embodiment through the making, and what does it mean to make, like this whole idea of where we've been making as humans forever. That's what we do. We make special. We dance, we sing, we tell stories, we do drawings, we make things that are beautiful and they have significance and ritual and ceremony, and that's a very human thing to do. And so I feel like this is where sort of the creative arts therapies really taps into that, is we're really coming back to what is fundamentally a human way to be, and that art isn't about making something because you need to be technical at it, or in the same way around sexuality, it's not about necessarily being good at something or having the right technique, or letting go of these shoulds of ideas of, oh, I've got to create a picture that's got to look a certain way, or I've got to engage in sex in a way that's got to look a certain way. And it's like, well, if we let go of that and just go, what if we just felt our way? What if we just were present to what is happening on the page and allow that to be with us? And then there's things that can then just emerge, and trusting in that process of emergence, which is, yeah, fundamental to that somatic work. It's fundamental to the art making, all those kinds of things, expression. It's like trusting the emergent properties of things that come through our humanness. So that's kind of my focus in on this art making piece.
Yeah. So it's
And people
like
need,
this,
yeah,
it's a space to learn through art to be with our erotic energy, with letting go of the product or producing anything or the performance or needing to be anything. So I can hear you're really inviting people into presence through art,
yeah.
through the body, and playing with
Mm.
erotic energy.
Mm. Yeah.
Delicious. Yeah. And I think you're offering two workshops.
Yep, I am. Yeah. So the second one is going to be all about play and role play. And it's a chance, it's an opportunity for folks who are interested in just sort of exploring what it means to explore a role, to explore maybe they want to be a character, maybe they want to take on some kind of way of being and just explore that even in tiny little ways. So it's not necessarily a case of like we're going to put on a theatre production or anything like that. It's more a case of stepping into a space and hey, maybe you wanted to explore what it means to be, sort of like a bit of a mysterious, magician or something, but in kind of like an erotic kind of way. And you kind of feel you want to tap into that. And you've never had a chance to play with what it means to be that with others. So if we kind of come back to this sense of, when we're children and we just naturally step into play, we want to play because it's a part of our imaginations and it's a part of what we're another human-based thing. It's being creative in that imaginative world and that imaginative space, and we kind of take on roles of like, oh, I get to play doctor, or I get to be this police person, or all these kinds of things that we want to we want to role play when we're kids. We can get to do that as adults in this space. So it's like, yeah, have some fun with and being a little bit sexy or be a little bit where there's something else. So it's in that sort of vein of being very playful and fun and joyful with our roles that we want to sort of embody and take on. And there'll be a lot of guidance as to if you can't think of one, you can't come up with one, there'll be choices to choose from, and you can maybe have a play with that. And if it doesn't work, that's okay. So and there's a few little games, and we can just have some play with the games of interactive games with other people in their roles, and like just see what wants to happen and be playful with that and joyful. Yeah. So it's a chance for people who perhaps have never stepped into role play to sort of have a little bit of a play with that without it being, a massive big thing that they have to engage in a huge scene or anything like that. It's just this little, joyful space around playing. So
yeah. So you can dip your toe in, have a bit of fun, try a few things on, see how it feels.
Yeah.
What a beautiful offerings all through play.
Yep. And bring a hat or bring a scarf or bring something and use your imagination to like, how might that change, get you into the embodiment part of this role? Like, how does it feel to be this character? Maybe you want to be this cat that's like meow, or maybe it's just like, like, oh yeah, I get to be this rugby player and I just want to be like, I want to embody this and show up with this to you. And who knows, let your imagination go wild.
Yeah, it's
welcome.
like playing with the different faces of ourselves. That's one of the things I love. So many things about Feast, but one of the things I do love is this opportunity just to experiment and have a go and be clunky. Yeah, it's just about exploring. And we don't have those spaces, especially around sex and pleasure in our world. So to have the space just to play. Yeah. Beautiful.
Exactly. And that's the whole point of play, is that there is no goal. We're not here to have an end point or to create something specific. Play, that's what a performance is, right? Whereas play is like, oh, I'm going to experiment and I'm going to try this on and I'm going to see what happens when I do that and notice it and go, oh, did I like that? Did I not like that? That's okay. That's the part of the process of play.
Yeah. I love, like, your eyes light up, your face lights up, your body lights up when you talk about all this stuff. I just love your passion. What is it about, like, what do you think is so important in supporting people to connect with their eroticism? Why is that so important in life and to you?
Because I think if I hark back to what I said at the beginning of, like, for me, it was a coming home. And that sense of being more in myself, more in my body. And that's, for me, is about being more in my power. To be able to make choices that are empowering for me and empowering for others. It just enhances my life. I've got these, and this is what I guess what motivates me and what I hope to impart to others. I mean, others obviously going to have their own experiences, but there's kind of like a sense of finding a compass point or finding those resources that you can choose to draw on. Like when you've done these practices over and over and found new ways of being with yourself or new parts of yourself that you didn't know existed, and are able to find a way to express them and do them in ways that are safe for yourself and safe for others. It's really, really empowering. And I think there is that ripple effect that happens when people really step into their power in that really wholesome way. You know, it's like I feel like there's this sense of actually become more generous, you know, when we really embrace that. And this idea of power isn't something that you kind of, you know, have to grab and hold over people. Power is something that you just you have innately within yourself, and being more of yourself allows you to step into that place where you can give and receive in those beautiful ways. So I guess that sort of for me is this underlying rhythm, this underlying stream that I feel sort of happens in these kinds of spaces that, you know, I really would love people to tap into and hope that they tap into something of that to support themselves in their lives and their relationships.
Yeah, connecting with that own unique felt sense of power, hey, with integrity internally and externally. I often imagine a world living in that way, you know, how different it would be. Yeah, the generosity of spirit and heart, and yeah, beautiful. Yeah. Is there anything else you want to share before we do one last little question grab?
I don't know. I feel like what I wanted to share a little bit of is like, one thing I love about being at Feast as well is that I trust my colleagues. I trust the other presenters and facilitators and the team, because I know that they're trained. I know that they follow a code of ethics and practice, and there is a standard that I can expect from everybody, which means I can then trust everyone that we're going to be holding the space together in a way that's just, you don't get that in other places. I've taught at many festivals, and other festivals are very much not run in this particular way. And so, you know, where the facilitators could be anybody and come from any background or any training, or have, you know, aren't held to any standard. And I think that that's what is unique about Feast, is that piece around the qualification, the training that's there. So it means I can actually settle in as a facilitator and trust my team and trust the space. And, you know, that, I trust everybody's level of communication, and, you know, if there's things that come up, we can resolve them, and we're there, and there's generosity and there's support, and then, you know, so I just really wanted to reiterate that, that's what I get from being in that space. And that's, you know, I think people can expect that, I think, as participants, that they are held very well in Feast.
Yes, it is unique, and it ripples into everything, you know, like we very intentionally weave this container together that holds us all, and we're all a part of that. But yes, as trained practitioners working within that code of ethics, you know, there's an integrity, there's an intentionality, there's a way of working that's really important to us, that we hold collectively for people to experience. It's pretty special. Yeah. I have one last sentence that we're asking everyone on our little Foreplay podcast. So I'm going to ask it to you, and I'm going to invite you to finish this sentence. Yeah? Are you ready?
Yep.
I'm going to Feast 2025 because
I get to be free in all the things that I value and are important to me. And I get to be with others within that freedom who feel the same way.
Beautiful. Thank you so much, Vanessa. I love talking to you. I always love connecting with you. You just light me up and inspire me. And, I know whoever gets the opportunity to work with you at Feast is, very blessed to have that space and time and learning and inspiration. Yeah. Yeah, so please keep doing your wonderful work, and I can't wait to embrace you in a couple of months in person.
Yes,
in May.
absolutely.
So yes, yeah. All right. Lots of love. Bye for now. See you, Vanessa.
Oh, thank you so much, Susan. Bye.